companies were used for holding companies, for subsidiaries of investment funds, for financing, for intellectual property, for employment, for trading, for shipping, for real estate, for collective investments, for trust, and for joint ventures. Still, the uses of Cyprus company can be for the above mentioned reasons. With regard to the financing companies, the Income Tax Office issued acceptable margins on back-to-back financing between the related parties for rates for financing up to 50 million, a margin of 0.35%. For loans between 50 million and 200 million, a 0.25% margin is acceptable, and for loans more than 200 million, a margin of 12.5% are acceptable. The new intellectual property regime was introduced as from 1st January 2012. The new regime covers intellectual property like computer software, technical knowledge, patents, trademarks, copyrights, etc. Out of the income from IP, there is an 80% exception of this income. Royalties acquired or developed can be amortized over 5 years. So this means that there is a 20% wear and tear allowance, and 80% deduction is also available on the net profit on disposal of the IP rights. The remaining income is taxed at 12.5%. This means that the effective tax rate of 2.5% or even less. Here we can see an example with numbers. Assuming royalties received of 10 million euros, there are direct expenses of 200,000. There is a net income of 9,800,000. There is an 80% exception for the remaining 1,900,060 is the profit. There is a deduction of any other expenses, say legal fees, accounting fees, audit fees of 60,000. There is a net taxable income of 1,900,000. This is taxed at 12.5%. And here we have actually the structuring idea. The Cyprus company is the owner of the intellectual property. The Cyprus company grants the license to the Ukrainian operating company to use this IP. With regard to tax, with the current double tax treaty between Cyprus and Ukraine, there is no withholding tax on royalties. With the new double tax treaty, there will be 5%. In Cyprus, there is no withholding tax on dividend paid from Cyprus to investors. And there is an exception of 80% on net royalties received. There are also some incentives for highly paid employees to come and work in Cyprus. This is applicable for new Cyprus tax residents with an annual salary over 100,000. For this, there is a 50% deduction for a period of 5 years. So they are taxed at half rates, and the top rate is, assuming that somebody can take this 50% exception, the top rate is 17.5%. The double tax treaty between Cyprus and Russia provides 5% withholding tax in Russia on the payment of dividends from Russia to Cyprus, no withholding tax on the payment of interest and royalties. The current double tax treaty between Cyprus and Ukraine provides for 0% withholding tax on the payment of dividends, interest and royalties. And the new double tax treaty between Cyprus and Ukraine provides for 5% for dividends, 2% for interest, and 5% for royalties. The double tax treaty, the new double tax treaty between Cyprus and Ukraine, will become effective following the year of ratification of the double tax treaty for the two countries. Today we are talking, there is still the ratification process has not yet done, neither by Cyprus nor by Ukraine. With regard to the restrictive measures, the Minister of Finance issued a decree on the 25th of April and will be valid for 16 days. The decree were issued for the purpose to avoid significant outflow of deposits, maintain sufficient and required liquidity in the system, and protect banking institutions, and safeguard the smooth operation of the Cyprus economy. The latest, the 10th decree, issued on Thursday, provides for the following with regard to international transactions. Non-cash transactions up to 500,000 daily per account are not subject to any restrictions. Between 500,000 and 1 million are subject to the approval of the committee. The application is submitted by the banking institution, and transactions over 1 million are subject to the approval of the committee, but require more time reviewed by the committee. So, as a conclusion, I would like to say that Cyprus is still an attractive and international financial business center, considering the fact that it was included in the white list of OECD. There is a 12.5% corporate tax rate, the full exception of capital gains, the full exception from taxation of dividends, the absence of CFC rates, the absence of any taxes, the absence of anything capitalization rules, the very favorable double tax treaties in countries like Ukraine and Russia, the application of EU directives, the reasonable approach by the tax authorities and issue tax ruling, the reorganization schemes, and the tax laws.
Thank you, Terapon. Unfortunately, in the end of the presentation, there were maybe some problems with the connection, but still, we are now open to the questions. And dear participants, if you have any questions, please, you have a great opportunity to ask them.
cross-border bank transactions. There is a question for cross-border bank transactions. As I said in my presentation, for trading transactions up to 500,000 are not daily, are not subject to any restrictions. The 5,000 per month is for transfer outside Cyprus on the name, the same name of the person making the transaction. What I mean, transfer from one bank to another bank outside Cyprus on the name of the person making the transaction. Thank you.
Коллеги, я пользуюсь случаем, хочу здесь упомянуть о международной конференции, которая состоится в Москве, и на которую мы всех приглашаем. Да, здесь вопрос от Александра. Терапон, there is a question from Alexander Kalinikov.
Legal action should be taken immediately. If somebody has money like this, legal action should be proceeded immediately because there is a time limit. There's a time limit to file legal action, so I suggest to proceed immediately. Is that okay, Alexander?
Terapon, I have one question. Is it planned that the legislation will changed again? Will be changed again?
We are talking about tax legislation?
Yes.
Well, now we are talking all the measures that were included in the memorandum of understanding between Cyprus, the Cyprus government, the European Central Bank, the European Commission, and the International Monetary Fund were enacted into legislation in Cyprus, except from the movable property tax. All the other measures that were included in the memorandum of legislation were enacted into legislation. I cannot foresee any further tax measures in the near future.
Okay, Terapon, thank you. We have a question from Violetta. Could you please give a commentary? There is also, Terapon, could you please speak a little bit louder, because...
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay. I cannot see a question from Val. You said there is another question?
Yes, what is the time limit for legal actions against Laiki?
I think 75 days, I think. So somebody can...
Starting from which moment?
From the day of the decision, of 26th of March. 26. So I suggest to everybody that lost money to speak to a Cypriot lawyer as soon as possible. legal action in place. Can you translate Olga's?
Да, коллеги, конечно же, мы предоставим материалы. Да, извините за технические неполадки. Thereupon, well, the attendees are looking for obtaining the presentation.
I have already sent. Just give me an email, and I will arrange to forward it to somebody, to forward it to our participants, or any participant would like to contact me. Here is my email address. Here is my email address. Here is my email address, and they can contact me to send them the presentation.
Да, коллеги, мы сейчас ждем каких-либо дополнительных вопросов, еще, наверное, пару минуточек, и тогда уже будем заканчивать. К сожалению, Виктора нам так и не удалось послушать. Возможно, да, если у вас сейчас появятся вопросы, вот самое время их задать. Ольга, я вот хотел бы задать вопрос Ольге Рыжовой. Ольга, что конкретно вы не успели прослушать про банк Лаки? Thereupon, we have a new question from. Do you think Laki will have any funds?
Well, I guess the government obliged to see any was government owned, like it was government owned for flood. So I believe that the government will.
Thereupon, yes, could you just please speak a little bit louder?
Yeah, so the government will be liable. Yes, the government will be liable. It was the main shareholder of Laiki before the resolution.
Терапон, we have one more question from Sebastian. Коллеги, у нас, наверное, совсем пропала связь с Терапоном. Извините за такие довольно-таки большое количество технических проблем на этом вебинаре. Если у вас возникли какие-то вопросы или вы что-то, может быть, для себя не совсем поняли, пишите. Пишите Терапону, пишите нам. Позвольте вас также пригласить на, собственно, я тоже сделал, на нашу международную конференцию. Будем рады вам помочь и до скорых встреч.